Now, it's common for wrestlers, particularly in WWE, to have a set list of moves that they perform in every single match. Wrestlers rarely deviate away from this list as it's what fans expect from them during a featured match, but on occasion, a wrestler will pull out a move that fans have never seen them deliver before. This rare move is usually implemented to bring out something new and unique to a match, and the move will be retired after its single use, keeping the impact of the one-time only move intact forever. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 moves WWE wrestlers did only once. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and our wrestling channel, Incredible. Number 10. EDGE&REY. The Clash at the Castle event was special for several reasons. It was the first time in over 30 years that the UK had received a special stadium show, and it would have been the first time ever that certain fans would have been able to see Edge live in person. This was evident when Edge's music hit and he almost blew the roof off the stadium, without question one of his biggest ovations of his career. Edge would team up with Rey Mysterio against Finn Balor and Damian Priest, and during the match, Edge decided to introduce a one-time only move into his arsenal. Edge would deliver his own version of Mysterio's 619 to the sheer delight of fans. Edge's version of the move was naturally sloppy, and it's unlikely he'll ever do it again, but it was a fun moment that fans in attendance won't ever forget. Number 9. Victoria Snap Suplex. Victoria was a vastly underrated talent in WWE and only seemed to get better as the years went on. Victoria's most notable feud during her time in the company was a 2002 feud with Trish Stratus. The two would have a hardcore match at the Survivor Series pay-per-view, and this match deserves a ton of credit for being way ahead of its time. What's interesting about the match finish was that Victoria seemingly used a generic move as a finisher. She would use a standard snap suplex as a finisher, and it actually secured the victory and the women's title. Whilst Victoria would go on to use a suplex again in matches, it was never determined to be her finisher, so it was unique in the sense that this was the only time that she would use a move in this manner. Just 24 hours after the match, Victoria would debut her Widow's Peak finishing move, which was a perfect fit for her persona and is widely considered to be one of the best finishing moves of all time. Number 8. The Undertaker Angle Slam. There have been some iconic triple threat matches in the WWE, but perhaps the most iconic took place at the 2002 Vengeance pay-per-view. The Undertaker would defend his WWE title against Kurt Angle and The Rock in a match that had something for everyone. The wrestling was superb, but the match also had a ton of comedy that was delivered very well and still holds up 2 decades later. The most notable spot in the match occurred when the three wrestlers decided to steal each other's finishing moves. In an insane sequence, The Rock performed a chokeslam on Taker before applying an ankle lock to Angle, and Angle would then perform his own version of the Rock Bottom on The Rock before the dead man rose to his feet and performed an Angle Slam on the Olympic gold medalist. It was a fantastic spot, and this marked the first and only time that the dead man performed the trademark move. Number 7. Johnny Gargano STF. Johnny Gargano likes to use a move known as the Gargano Escape as his finishing move. He rarely deviates from using this as his submission-based finishing move, but during his acclaimed feud with Tommaso Ciampa, he decided to use a one-time only move. The finish of their unsanctioned match at NXT TakeOver New Orleans saw Gargano apply the STF with a knee brace. This was a completely unique finish and certainly helped elevate the match, as it was evident when Dave Meltzer awarded the match a 5-star rating. Number 6. Kane Hurricanrana. In the summer of 2001, a random match for the Intercontinental title between Kane and Albert on SmackDown managed to exceed everyone's expectations. For whatever reason, the two men seemed adamant on delivering a memorable match, and Kane would deliver a move that truly blew the fans away. As Albert had Kane in a powerbomb position, Kane countered the move and unbelievably performed a Hurricanrana. The move received a thunderous reaction from the crowd, and even Michael Cole and Taz on commentary couldn't even believe what they just witnessed. The match would eventually be won by Albert in one of the biggest wins of his WWE career, and it could be theorized that Kane wanted to make the match as memorable as possible. Number 5. CM Punk Piledriver. For the longest time in WWE, the Piledriver had been outright banned. However, during a match between CM Punk and John Cena on Raw in 2013, Punk decided to perform the move on Cena to the shock of fans across the world, as well as WWE personnel backstage. Punk had done the move in other promotions, but he'd never once performed the move in WWE. According to reports at the time, former WWE chairman Vince McMahon was absolutely furious that Punk had delivered the move, and Punk would seem to confirm these reports in a tweet in 2020. Whilst WWE deserves some respect for banning the move they deemed to be too dangerous and unsafe, the piledriver spot certainly elevated the match, and some fans will argue that it's the best bell-to-bell match ever seen on WWE's flagship show. Number 4. Hulk Hogan, Rock Bottom. Nobody could have ever predicted the extent of how much fans would be behind Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18. Hogan collided with The Rock in an absolute dream match, and the match delivered everything fans could have ever wanted. Every spot Hogan and The Rock did in the match seemed to work, and fans were invested in everything they did. One of the most infamous spots in the match saw Hogan deliver his own version of the Rock Bottom to The Rock. This made fans in attendance go absolutely crazy. Hogan had always been reserved in adding moves to his arsenal, as he preferred to keep his established moves intact. However, when Hogan used the move on this occasion, it was a perfect chance for Hogan to deviate away from his own rules and create a moment that fans will remember forever. Number 3. Randy Orton Styles Clash. At the start of 2020, WWE would book a mini TV feud between Randy Orton and AJ Styles leading up to the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. As part of this rivalry, Orton and AJ would compete in a triple threat match which also involved Drew McIntyre, and the match would feature a unique spot which sent social media into a frenzy. In the match, Orton would deliver his own version of AJ Styles' Clash move, and Orton, similarly to Hulk Hogan, has been reluctant to change his moveset, but on this occasion, it enhanced the story that WWE were telling. It can certainly be argued that the spot should have been on pay-per-view, as with it being on a random episode of Raw, it's easy to forget. Thanks to social media and YouTube, the spot ended up having a hugely positive reception, which was great to see. Number 2. Cody Rhodes Pedigree. Cody Rhodes delivered the performance of a lifetime at the 2022 Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Rhodes went into his Hell in a Cell showdown with Seth Rollins with a torn pectoral, and it was a miracle that Rhodes was able to compete, never mind have an all-time classic. There were several moments in the match that received praise from fans, but the spot which saw Rhodes deliver a pedigree was truly fantastic. Rhodes had previously teased using a pedigree in prior matches with Rollins, but this time he actually delivered it, to the unanimous applause of the fans in attendance. This marked the first time Rhodes had successfully used the move in WWE, and it's unclear if he'll use the move again or if this was just a one-time only spot. And number 1, Undertaker, The Spear. A SummerSlam 2008 is notable for being WWE's first pay-per-view of the new PG era. What fans questioned upon hearing the news of WWE's new era was just how WWE could deliver their planned SummerSlam main event under PG guidelines. The planned main event of SummerSlam was a Hell in a Cell showdown between arch-rivals Edge and The Undertaker. To WWE's credit, they managed to pull it off. The match had a ton of violent spots, but the match was also a fitting conclusion to a decorated rivalry. What was also interesting about the match was that The Undertaker decided to deliver a move he's never done before, and it just so happened to be Edge's own finisher. During the match, the dead man delivered a devastating spear to Edge, which genuinely took everyone by surprise. It worked perfectly into the match and showed that The Undertaker was having to use every tool it took to finally defeat the Rated R superstar once and for all. But there you have it, folks, 10 moves WWE wrestlers did only once. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.